Potatoes are really similar to this game because when you harvest them, you never know how much you're going to get. Hello everybody, my name is Ilya.
And my name is Tyler. Together we make up Kovray, a couple that loves to play board games.
And today we're here to tell you about Sprites and Sprouts.
Sprites and Sprouts is designed by Manny Vega and is published by Open Owl Studios, who helped sponsor this video.
Now in this game, you will take the roles of little sprites that will help the farmers tend, plant crops, and predict where the farmer will harvest, because you could score quite a bountiful of points if you do so.
Exactly.
Now, everything you see in this video is in prototype form and may be subject to change, but with that said, let's give you an overview of how the game works. Sprites and Sprouts is a competitive game where 1 to 5 players take on the role of sprites, all trying to prove who's the most helpful in the garden before the winter hits. Over a series of days, you'll plant and tend magical crops, complete pattern-based challenges, and sneakily position your workers to take advantage of the daily harvests. Each day starts with the farmer card being revealed. The farmer may add a twist to the round. Then, a secret harvest forecast card will be placed face down. This will determine where in the garden we'll score at the end of the day, but no one will know where that is just yet. Now, it's your goal to deduce and find out. On your turn, you'll move your sprite to one of the 4 actions: plant, tend, prep, or magic. Planting lets you add crops to the board and rotate them in any way. Tending flips them to their more valuable side and allows you to rotate them as well. Prepping gives you a new challenge card, which will help you narrow down the harvest spot and give you a chance to accumulate more points. Now, magic is a little bit different. Once you place your sprite there, you'll have to place your worker on one of the previous 3 actions, blocking it for the round: plant, tend, or prep. If you place it on plant, you'll be able to plant 2 tiles. If you place it on tend, you'll be able to tend 2 crop tiles. And if you place it on prepping, you'll be able to draw 2 challenge cards, keep one, and return the other as usual. Then you'll also get to draw a skill from the skill bag to add to your board. And you may move a worker anywhere on the board. Now, after taking your action, you'll place a worker somewhere on the board, on a crop or on a row marker. You won't get to do this if you've taken the magic action, as the worker will occupy the space on your player board instead. At the end of your turn, you can also score challenge cards by matching the patterns on the garden board. Some of these cards will be in your hand while others are face up in front of you, and you can complete as many as you want if the board is in your favor. Once everyone has placed all of their workers, the harvest location is revealed, and the points are handed out based on where your workers are located. Tended crops at the harvest spot will score big, 10 points if tended, while 5 points if untended. Crops in the same row or column will score 4 points if the main harvest crop is tended and 2 if not, and workers in the row or column that corresponds to the harvest will also score 2 points if the harvest is tended and 1 if not. Then, the whole row and column gets cleared for the next round. Players will have an opportunity to draft new skills to boost their actions, and you'll set up for the next day by switching challenge decks and receiving new information on where the harvest may be by using the harvest tracker. The game ends at the end of the round after the final farmer card is drawn for your player count, and one last harvest occurs. Now, whoever has the most points wins, and if there is a tie, it'll come down to who has collected more skill tokens.
And that's Sprites and Sprouts.
Some clever strategic thinking there.
What are we going to do in this video today? Well, we're going to tell you why you might enjoy this game, highlight some key features, and let's just get right into it.
With key feature number 1, some of the mechanics. Now, this game has that familiar sense of tile placement and kind of goal fulfillment in that spatial puzzle. I feel like there's a lot of games that have how you place the tiles will score points in this collective board based on what you have.
Yes.
But it introduces a key twist, which is the deduction element of it all.
Yes.
Because as you begin to look at the challenges, as you do more challenges, and as the day progresses, you are going to learn and deduce where the farmer will harvest.
Exactly.
And if you manage to tend to that crop, if you manage to place your worker there, if you manage to place your workers in a row or column, you're going to get some points.
And that's exactly what you want to be doing in this game. That's another point I want to add, you touched on it just then, is that worker placement action where you are like moving around to different actions. It means you're locked in. You won't be able to take one of those actions the next turn that comes around. Or maybe you won't even be able to take 2 of them based on that magic slot that you have available to yourself. So it's really interesting to balance that and weigh the chances of like what else is going on. I find it really interesting, which I guess sort of leads me into our point 2 is the deducing. The nice little combination of all the mechanics that we're talking about is really, it really like meshes together quite nicely when it comes to that deduction piece and that almost gambling feel. And my point, or our point 2, is that can offer some really interesting feelings in a sense where you can take that gamble early on and maybe it does pay off. It feels really good when that happens, and maybe it was a strategic thing, but sometimes it is really just a guess that can get you farther ahead than everybody else. But at the same time, the flip side of that is if you are paying attention and you are like very invested in trying to deduce which space is the right one, you can do that and sort of like plan your way into that. And when and if you do get it right, you feel quite intelligent.
Yeah, because if you have the challenge cards in your hand that give you more information too. And I think that element really is good for building memories. Because say you guess it right off the bat with limited information, that feels so good if you're able to pull that off.
Yes.
And if you're so invested, you're convinced it's in this row, you invest so much into that row and it's not there. It's one of those funny moments that you'll look back and be like, how unfortunate it was that I went full odds and the odds were completely against me.
Just not in your favor.
Just not in your favor. The other element I'll say about this game too is the game scales up as you play.
Yes.
Not only are you able to keep the challenge cards over time, over different rounds if you don't fulfill them quite yet, that gives you a little bit more information. That gives everybody a little bit more information. But the more important part is the skills that you're able to gain on your worker board. You'll start out a fresh sprite. And then as the game continues, you're going to be able to do more and more mischief throughout the farm.
The farmer has taught you well, sort of.
Or have you taught the farmer well?
The last thing that we would point out is that although it doesn't say here, it is part of the Mythwind world. So it's that familiar space where you can get excited about something different, but in that same universe.
And the crops are just so delightful. I don't think I can even eat them because they all have faces and they're so cute.
That's true. That'd be a choice. That'd be a choice.
Or a horror movie. Well, who is this game for? Who should check out Sprites and Sprouts?
Well, I mean, we've kind of talked about it already, but like if anything that we've said kind of stood out to you, then definitely this game is worth checking out. The biggest thing that comes to my mind, especially for this type of game, is that it's a very quick, easy to teach, and like really replayable in the sense of especially with that deduction board. So if you're looking for something quicker, something lighter to bring to the table, maybe before you get into a crunchier game, or maybe you just want to spend the whole evening playing a game multiple times, Sprites and Sprouts is probably perfect for you.
But you can of course learn more about this game by visiting the crowdfunding page in the link down below. We'll have more information, more content, all for you to digest, to manifest your Sprites and Sprouts experience for yourself and decide if this game is for you.
Exactly. And of course, if you found this video helpful, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, because we love talking and chatting about board games.
And we'd be happy to answer any Sprites and Sprouts questions in the comments down below, where you can also answer our question of the day.
Which is...
If you were to have a little garden.
And you could only plant one
crop.
One crop.
Something edible, preferably. What would it be?
Yeah. I'm picking potato.
That's what I was going to pick.
It has so much variety.
You know, potatoes are really similar to this game. Because when you harvest them, you never know how much you're going to get. Sometimes you pull it out and there's like the tiniest little potatoes. But sometimes they just keep coming.
That could be said
about
so
a lot
of them. Crops. I'm just saying.
Like which ones?
Carrots.
Well, all the
Anything
underground. But I feel like carrots, like your carrot can be small or it'll be big. With potatoes, you don't know if it's one. You don't know if you can be a ton. Potatoes feel more of like the jackpot of the...
You heard it here. You heard it here, folks. But let us know your answers down in the comment below. And we will see you in the next one. Bye.